Hey guys, it's Aaron Heiser with Maker's Leather Supply, and we're working on the Stockyards Duffel Bag. There it is right there. Okay, this duffel bag's about 20 inches wide, or long I guess you could say. About 11 inches wide and probably about 14 inches tall. Somebody asked that in the last video and I haven't replied to their comment yet, so maybe they'll see that. Anyway, great bag for holding stuff for a weekend trip or whatever. We did the little introduction video, and now we're going to actually start prepping stuff to put together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prep as many things as I can think of before walking over to the sewing machine and doing any sewing on this. Okay, so I'm going to set this camera right here. Okay, get it down here where it can see my hands and what I'm doing in front of me. And we'll just start going through all the pieces. Okay, these are the end pieces right here, and they're going to have these bad boys right there. Okay, I can go ahead and put them there, but I have to set snaps on them before I do. Okay, and here I am already realizing that I don't have my snap setter out here with me, so let's just save that little step for a few minutes from now. All right, so there's that piece we're not going to do right this second. What we can do is on the very top of this pattern, it says Skiving, fold this area. Now, the bag I'm making, I really wanted to use this printed leather with this really dark leather right here because I think it looks amazing. But it's much thinner than what I would normally make this bag out of. I'm doing this because it's going to be a store display anyway, so I don't care. But generally, this bag would be made out of like 4, 5, 6 ounce oil tan, something like that. And this is a lot closer to like a 3 ounce. Anyway, that being said, I don't need to skive it to fold those edges down because they're already too thin. Or already thin enough is the word I'll say. Not too thin, just thin enough. Okay, so what I am going to do though is go ahead and fold them down. This is a 1/4 inch piece of tape, and I'm going to put it on there and then just roll that edge over and fold down about 3/8 of it. 3/8 of an inch, I'm sorry, not 3/8 of the pattern. Okay, and we'll take that over to the sewing machine here in a little while and sew that line. But before we do, we'll have that other piece ready to go too. So yeah, and that will help when the bag is formed. When you fold it in, you want it to create this A-type frame here, and that'll help with the rigidity of that. Okay, so we're going to do that twice. Okay. I do have a trash can right here. I don't really have to. When I fold over an area like this, if you'll notice, I try to use 2 or 3 fingers at a time to press down, and then you don't do tiny areas at a time, and you don't end up with waves in your rolled edge. Okay. Both of those are done with that. Let's move over here to these side pieces. Okay. So here I have 2 sides of the bag. The rounded part is up on the top, and then the squared part is at the bottom. Okay. So I have these to connect to it, and on the pattern, I'll just measure it here. Looks like it is 2.5 inches from the edge, 4 inches from the top. Okay, so I'll use my quilter's ruler here, and that's just the corner of it is 2.5 inches from the edge, 4 inches from the top. So these hold the shoulder strap. Okay, so 2.5 inches in, 4 inches down is what we're looking at. So these pieces will be right here, and they'll be in the exact same spot on both of them because the other side will be flipped around, and I want that shoulder strap to go from this corner to that corner. when the bag is being carried. Okay, so I will cut some more tape on these. I'm just going to put tape around the edges of them because I'll have to stick a strap down inside there, and so I don't want to sew down the middle of it because I still need to put other leather in it through that loop. If this is not the first bag you've built with me, you fully understand what I'm talking about. If it is, I promise it'll make sense here in a little bit. This is the knife we leave out in the warehouse, and it's getting pretty dull. I need to sharpen it. Terry Nipchill would skin me alive if he saw me with such a dull one of his knives. Okay, so I got a little bit of tape to hold it nice and steady. Again, I'm not putting tape down the center of it. I just wanted to round some edges. Two and a half inches in, 4 inches down, right? There she be. I gotta do the exact same thing on the other side piece. So, put my ruler back to where it needs to be. Do it again. And I'll tell you what, no, I'm not going to. Y'all don't need to watch me do the same thing more than once, and I apologize. I don't know what I'm thinking. My mind's not quite on the task today. We got some other stuff going on. So I'm going to set the other side to the side, because the other thing I want to do is I want to measure where my handles are going to be. Okay, so here you see we got some handles here on our bag. It is 6 inches from the edge of the handle to the edge of the bag. The handle's an inch wide, then it's 6 inches to the next handle strap. Oops, sorry, let me get that a little closer. So 6 inches here, 1 inch wide, 6 inches here, 1 inch wide, 6 inches. Okay? I normally don't give out all these measurements, so hopes you're writing it down. Normally, I make people, rely on the pattern a little heavier. So anyway, that being said, my quilting ruler here is 6 inches wide, and so that makes it awful convenient to lay it right here on the edge, and now I know where my strap's going to go. But first, what I need to do is make that strap ready. Okay, I am going to set a rivet to hold my D-ring. Actually, I want my D-ring to go all the way through the bag. So you know what? I'm going to pause this right quick. When I come back, we'll have some more stuff out here, and I'll show you what I'm about to do. Alrighty, so I've got one of my side straps here. Okay, we cut 4 of these, and mine are just kind of random lengths right this very second. They're not cut to measure, because once I put them on here, then whatever's hanging off the end, that's what I'll cut to measure, right? So what I need to do is I'm going to cut me a couple of pieces of double-sided tape, and I'm going to just temporarily place my D-rings on them so that they'll hold. Okay. So put me some double-sided tape on there, pull off the backing of it, wrap it around my D-ring. I don't want my D-ring caught in my double-sided tape because it'll stop it from being able to twist like that. And I want it to be able to twist like that. Now, we had already said it a couple of times, and let me put some double-sided tape down this too, because I'm going to stick it to the bag. Okay? We'd already said a couple of times that it was going to be 6 inches from the edge of the bag. Okay? No problem. I know how to do that. So I've got my ruler here, and I want it 6 inches from the edge of the bag. Okay, so I line my ruler up with this edge of the bag over here, the far edge. Now I also want the top of this fold over to be 3.5 inches from the top of the bag. So I want to put the top of my ruler up against here. Okay, if you don't have a big quilter's ruler like this, I highly recommend it. You can get them at any fabric store, almost any craft store even. Amazing tool to have for especially things like this. It just really makes measuring easier when you can lay it out there and use it as a guide for more than just, I don't want to use it just to go make marks somewhere. I mean, if I can leave the ruler there and then not have to make marks, my life becomes easier. Okay, so 3.5 inches from the top, 6 inches in from the edge, and see how nice that brown leather is going to look against that light tan stuff. Like, so excited about this bag. We leave for Prescott in 2 days, and I might just have to take this one with me. All right, so take the backing off my tape. Three and a half inches where I want that fold over to end up. And I'm just going to lay it flat with my ruler, making sure that my ruler is still right on the edge of that leather. And then we're also making sure that this is perfectly perpendicular, to the shape of the bag. Okay? Now, we're going to do the exact same thing right over here. Can you believe that? 6 inches from the edge, 3.5 inches from the top, right? So easy, even Aaron can do it. That's saying a lot, guys. Grab me another one of these here D-rings. I'm gonna put me a temporary piece of tape here to hold that sucker down. To figure out how to pull paper off of tape. Make sure that the tape isn't hindering my ring. There we go. See? Okay. Put some tape down the strap again. And I don't want my tape to get to the edges of the strap because I don't want it to ever play peekaboo out from under the strap. Okay? I want it to stay well hidden. Okay, I'm going to check my ruler, make sure it's still squared up where it needs to be. Three and a half inches down. 1, 2, 3.5. Cool. Now, if you like, you can put a little side pocket on this bag. Okay, and all you do is, before you stick these two down on the other side, is you cut you a little pocket that goes in between them. Cut it. There's 6 inches right here. Okay, so you'd cut it 6.5 inches, 6 3/8 inches, something like that wide. Maybe roll over the top, and then you could have you a pocket right here. Okay, and you just put it underneath this strap so that when you sew the strap down, it holds the sides of the pocket. The bottom of the pocket will be sewn on by the bottom of the bag being sewn to this piece. Okay, we did the exact same thing in the overnight bag pattern. So if you have that pattern or need further explanation, you can go to its video and look at that. Okay, but this side is ready to go. Okay, I will trim off the tails of this later, but that right as that is ready to be sewn together. Now, earlier I started to put my button pieces on this, and I realized I didn't have my daggum snap setter, so I have it now. So here's what we're gonna do. This thing, we'll measure where it is on the pattern, and then we'll place it in the same spot there. It is 4 inches from each side, and turn this thing around so I'm not doing negative math in my head here. And then it is 4 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. Okay, no problem. So once again, I'll lay this thing 4 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. And then I'll line it up to where I know that there's 4-inch mark. All right. Okay, I need to set my snap right in the middle of that thing. What we're going to set is the positive part of the snap, okay? Used to call it a male or a female end of a snap, but I don't know that we're allowed to do that anymore. I don't know. Whatever, I don't care. So, the positive part of the snap, okay? That's it right there. So we put this piece, the post, on from the back side. There we have our snap. Here we have our snap setter. Couple of whacks. I know that moved the camera. I apologize. My camera is sitting on a giant spool right now. Okay. So here we go. Unlike when we turn this into a strap hanger or something, when we do that, it goes with the slot up. On this piece though, since we're making it for our finger hole, it's going to be with the slot down. Okay? So that looks like where it needs to go right there. 4 inches, 4 inches, 4 3/4 inches. I need to put some tape just around the edges of it and stick it on there. Okay. A little bit of tape here and there. There we go. Okay, and the more of this prep work you do before you walk to the sewing machine, the less walking back and forth to the sewing machine that you're going to have to do. So, it behooves you to do it. So there it is. When I go to sew, I'll just sew all the way around all 4 sides of that piece. Alrighty then. So, I have one side and one end ready for all my prep work to be done, okay? We are still going to have to add the top piece to this, okay? But that's going to be done once the zipper, the top piece, let me explain this. This piece will set right here. Now, if you're doing it with a tooled top piece, like my other bag, then this will set up here, and it'll be nice and pretty and tooled, okay? But, man, doesn't that brown look good. Oh, I'm excited about this bag. Like I said, maybe it's not going to be a store display. Maybe I'll just carry it. Alright, and then this funny looking piece right here is going to be on the back side of that, underneath it. Okay? And when we sew it all together, you just sew around the top of this dark brown piece right here. You sew all the way around it, and it sews the back piece onto it. But we got to get the zipper on it first. Okay? So we're gonna skive and fold that and get the zipper on it here in a minute. So I'm gonna pause the camera because I need to prep my other pieces to look like these pieces, and then we'll go inside. We'll use the skiver for some stuff and the sewing machine for some stuff. Alright, so here we are at the NP4 skiver, okay? And we're going to skive the pieces that the zippers will be on. On my bag, this is the only piece that we really need to skive. Again, if I was making it out of thicker material, I would have skived the tops of the end pieces before I rolled them over. But this bag actually doesn't require a ton of skiving. I know that really disappoints so many of y'all. But what I'm going to skive is this right here. Okay, so on the back of this funny looking piece here, I skived it to where when I fold this over back onto itself, then I can sew the zipper onto underneath it, and it'll have a nice rolled edge, okay? So, yeah, I gotta skive both of them, so here's the other one. La-di-da-di-da. There we go. Alright, so now I got a double-sided tape and roll those edges over, and then I'll come back and we'll sew the zippers on. Alright, so yeah, I know y'all heard the phone ringing in my pocket just a second ago. I needed to answer it, and I did have to have a conversation. So I went ahead and just folded that skived edge over while I was on the phone, okay? And just folded it back onto itself. The edge of the skive is actually right under the edge of the folded over leather there. Now, I need to take my zipper apart here in a little while. So what I want to do is, I want to take a Sharpie marker, and on just one end of the zipper, both sides of it, I'm going to blacken a few of the teeth. And that's going to help me when I go to put my zipper pieces back together to know that they're on the correct sides. Okay? Promise, this is a big deal. Anytime you have a zipper that you're putting it together, taking while it's in pieces, when you put it back together, if both those sides of the tracks aren't facing the same direction, it's not going to go back together. Okay? So it is a big deal. Alright. Now, I need to take my double-sided tape and just run it along. I do not want it too close to that fold. Okay? I'm going to run it along here. Okay, look, see where I say it's not too close to the fold there? Because I don't want to see it under that fold. Alright? The tape is shiny and sticky, and that is bad on a finished bag. Nothing says cheap like shiny and sticky sticking out from under your zipper. Okay? I know this. I've worn lots of cheap clothes in my life. Okay. My zipper keeps trying to fall off my table here. I did the entire piece of that, even though, of course, the camera can only see a short section of it. Okay? And I'm just going to peel off. Well, first I'm going to lay my zipper out as flat and straight as I can. Okay, flat and straight. And then I'm going to peel off the backing of my tape. Okay. Now, I'm just going to take it up here and I'm going to lay it right up against the zipper. Okay, I don't want it all the way up against the teeth because I need room for the slide to work back and forth. But I do want to make sure that the space between the teeth and the rolled edge of the leather remains kind of constant. Okay, I don't want it to be really close in one area and then really far in the other. I want that zipper nice and straight. Okay, get this out of the way here. And actually, I guess on this particular zipper, I did not need to blacken my teeth in because I can actually stick the whole thing together while the zipper's put back together. I will have to take them apart to sew the bag together, but by then it won't matter. The bag will only sew back together one direction. So I did try to show you something neat there as far as, you know, when you have to put a zipper together in pieces like that. And it is still very relevant. It just isn't necessarily needed on this particular bag. Okay, so I'm going to stick the other half of my zipper gusset on. Okay, and then I'm going to sew it. So I'm going to pause the camera. I'm going to get my son to come in here and help hold it while I sew so that we can get a good view over my shoulder of me sewing this down. Okay. Okay, so now here I am. I'm going to sew. I need it down here where the foot of this machine is. I'm going to sew the zipper on from down here. Okay, and when I do this, I like to keep my the center foot of my zipper right against the rolled edge. So I'm going to do this side of it first. Let me put my. There we go. Okay, I'm going to do a couple of back stitches, and then we're going to go forward, and I'm going to try to stay very close to that rolled edge. Okay, and I've just got that rolled edge just right along the inside edge there of that center foot. I normally mention this, I forgot to. This is a Cobra Class 18 machine. I'm using size 138 thread. I'm using the natural color because I really want it to pop on this dark brown and have contrast so that it'll match the blonde bag body. Okay, I'm going to sew this whole side down, and then I'll do a back stitch at the end, and I'll show you what that looks like. And then I'll pause the camera again so that I can sew the other side down. But then we're going to start putting the bag pieces together and sewing them, all the ones that we prepped. Okay? All the way to the end. Quit wiggling around so much, bud. The camera's got to stay still.
Sorry.
Alright, now I need to do some back stitching. There we go. I'll show you what that looks like, and then I'm going to sew the other side real quick, off camera. So there's that line. Sewn all the way down. Looks great on both sides. We'll call that a success. Again, I'm going to sew this other side down, and then when we come back, we'll start putting these pieces to the bag. Red button. Alright. So here's the zippered piece we just prepped. So now is when I need to take it apart, because each piece goes on a different side of the bag. This is when most people panic, because they have a hard time putting zippers back together. And there's no real secret to it, but after you do a couple of hundred of them, it's a little easier, I guess. Alright, now, again, this piece is going to go right here on the outside of the bag. Again, if you are going to tool this piece, do that before what you're doing now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to run a bunch of double-sided tape on the back of it because I don't want to mess with glue tonight. I had glue all over my hands yesterday, and I don't want to do it again today. Okay, so I'm running it down, but I don't want to get it out to the edge because, again, shiny is bad. Okay. If I can get the daggum paper off this. There we go. Okay, I'm going to take and line this up with the very top of this bag. Okay, the top is the rounded parts. And stick it on. Nice and sticky. If you cut everything else, or cut everything out accurately, it should go all the way to the other end. There we go. Now, on the inside, we have this piece, and it will just mimic it on the back, like so. No big deal at all. So we're going to put some more double-sided tape down. and place it and stick it. Now I will sand those edges because, you know, no matter how good you are at cutting stuff out, they're probably not going to line up perfectly, and that's okay. Mine don't either. Okay, so now when I take this half a bag to the sewing machine, I'm going to sew all the way around this. I'm going to sew down these two stripes right here, and these two stripes right here, just letting the sewing go down into what will become that seam right there. And then up here, I'm just going to sew this entire border all the way around. Okay? On the side pieces, I'm going to sew across the top where I folded that over, and then I'm going to sew all the way around that piece right there. Okay? And then, I mean, 99% of this bag is done. Now we just got to kind of put the sides together and finish her all up. So after I'm done sewing all that, though, I will take this nice long piece that I had cut earlier, and I'm going to sew it. Let's see, figure it all out here. I'm going to sew it with the finished side down, okay, so that the finished side is against the finished side here. And I'm just going to sew it around the edge of this piece. I'm not going to use any glue. I'm not going to use any tape. I'm going to use a lot of clips to hold it in place, or just manually move it as I sew every couple of inches. And that's going to create the gusset part that will sew to the bag body once the three giant panels, the two sides and the bottom, are sewn together. Okay, but tonight's video, we're probably not going to get that far. I don't know yet. Again, we've got a family member in the hospital tonight, so we are kind of having to take every minute as we go here. So, yeah, that's what we're going to get done. I'm going to go back in there to the sewing machine. We're going to sew, or well, first I've got to prep this side now. We'll sew all those pieces together, and then tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning, if we don't finish it tonight, we will get right back on this project and get her done. Again, this is a great bag. It's not a difficult build, but it's kind of a fun build. The one I made before, this one right here that I keep showing you that's finished, I mean, what took me the longest is all that tooling. I'm a very slow tooler, and I really enjoy tooling, but I'm very slow at it. So that's where we are. All right, so when I come back, we'll be on the sewing machine. All right, folks, so I sat down at the machine. I had some other phone calls come in that I needed to take care of. Anyway, long story short, I went ahead and sewed one of these panels up so I could show you everything, because I'm having to cut it off for the night. But I sewed both sides of the handle straps down. I sewed the full perimeter around the D holder for the shoulder strap, and then I sewed all the way around that top panel there. Okay, and there's where you can see the back. Okay, I'm doing that on both of the sides of the bag, and then on the end of the bag I sewed that fold over down right there, and I sewed all the way around where the snap is. Okay, so that's that. Again, tomorrow morning we will I will continue. I'll be up here nice and early. I'd say bright and early, but it won't be bright yet. I'll be up here nice and early working on putting all these panels together and showing you how that works, so that I can finish this before we leave for Prescott. Yeah, and so I can have a new bag to carry to Prescott. So yeah, until then, I'm Aaron Heiser, Maker's Leather Supply. Hope you have a great night.